I was 17 when I met Alyssa. She wasn't the type of girl who made a loud entrance. She didn't walk into rooms like she owned them. She floated into them like she didn't even notice anyone was watching. But trust me, we were all watching. She had this quiet confidence, this half smile that made you want to know what she was thinking. And for some reason, out of everyone at West Ridge High, she picked me. At the time, I didn't think I was anything special. I was just Jake Mathers, a kid who played guitar in his garage, worked part-time at his uncle's auto shop, and hung out with the same two best friends since middle school, Eli and Harper. Eli was the loud one, the class clown. Harper was his twin sister, quieter but sharper. You couldn't get away with anything around her. When Alyssa asked me out first, I was stunned. I thought it was a joke. But she wasn't laughing. She just tilted her head and said, "You're different, I like that." We started dating, and for the first few weeks, it was like a dream. She'd wait for me by my locker, make fun of the way I took notes in class, fall asleep on my shoulder during late-night FAFSA times. Everything felt easy. Natural. But the thing about dreams? They always end. The first fight was over something small, too small to remember exactly. But I do remember how quickly things shifted. One moment we were laughing, the next she was accusing me of not caring. I kept asking what I'd done wrong, trying to fix it, but all she said was, "You always make it about you. Why can't you just listen?" That was the first time I apologized without knowing what I was apologizing for. And it wouldn't be the last. Over time, I noticed I was walking on eggshells. I stopped texting other girls back, even Harper, even if it was just about homework, because Alyssa would get upset. She'd say, "Why are you so secretive? Do you have something to hide?" So I'd hand her my phone. I'd change my passcode to one she picked. I thought that would help. I thought love meant proving yourself over and over. But no matter what I did, there was always something else. I forgot to like her post on Instagram once, and she didn't speak to me for an entire day. When I finally asked what was wrong, she said, "You don't support me. Everyone else commented but you." So I started keeping lists, mental ones. Like, compliment her hair every day, respond to her texts within 5 minutes, never joke about other girls, don't disagree with her in front of people, never say, "You're overreacting," even when she was. I didn't realize it then, but I was slowly losing pieces of myself. And the worst part? I thought it was my fault. I thought I was the broken one, that I was hard to love. Eli started noticing first. "Bro, you're not the same," he said one day after school. "You used to be fun. You used to laugh at my dumb jokes. Now you're always tense." I laughed it off. "Nah, I'm just tired. Alyssa's going through stuff, you know?" But he didn't buy it. "You sure it's not you going through stuff because of her?" Harper didn't say anything at first, but I could feel her watching. She always watched. Like she was waiting for the right moment to speak, and when it came, I wouldn't be able to ignore her. That moment came a few weeks later. It was a Saturday night, and Alyssa and I had plans to go to the movies. But at the last minute, she canceled. "Not feeling well," she said over text. I believed her. Until I saw her tagged in someone's story at a party across town, laughing, drink in hand, wearing the necklace I got her for our 3-month anniversary. I didn't say anything right away. I waited. Maybe there was an explanation. Maybe she posted the story late. Maybe it was from another night. I tried convincing myself of anything other than the truth I didn't want to face. When I finally confronted her, she flipped it. "I can't believe you're spying on me," she snapped. "Do you not trust me at all? Is that what this relationship has come to?" I stood there, silent. She wasn't even denying it. She just made it about me again. How I was too controlling, too insecure, too much. And I apologized. Again. That night, Harper texted me. Just 3 words. "You okay?" I didn't answer. Not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't know how. How do you tell someone you feel like you're disappearing in a relationship that's supposed to make you feel more alive? But Harper didn't need my answer. The next day, she showed up at the auto shop with a smoothie and that look, her look, the one that said, "I know you're lying. You don't look okay," she said, sliding the smoothie across the counter. I'm fine. She raised an eyebrow. Fine as in miserable, but pretending you're not? I looked down. It's complicated. It always is when someone's playing games with your head. I looked at her then. Really looked. She wasn't angry. She wasn't judging. Just waiting. I think I'm messing everything up, I finally said. Every time something goes wrong, it's because of me. She says I make her feel small, that I never listen, that I'm selfish, but I try so hard, Harper. I really do. She was quiet for a second. Then she said, Jake, when someone loves you, you don't have to prove your worth every day just to keep them. Real love doesn't feel like you're failing all the time. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But I couldn't shake the feeling that maybe Alyssa was right. Maybe I was the problem. Maybe love just was hard. I didn't know it yet, but everything was about to explode. And when it did, I'd finally see the truth for what it was. Ugly, undeniable, and so far from the love I thought I had. The thing about trust is, you never realize how fragile it is until it's gone. And once it breaks, really breaks, it doesn't shatter like glass. It crumbles, slow and painful, like something dying inside you piece by piece. Things between Alyssa and me got worse after that party incident. But I convinced myself it was just a phase. Every relationship has rough patches, right? I mean, that's what people always say. No one's perfect. Love takes work. So I worked harder. I texted more, called more, surprised her with flowers, made playlists of her favorite songs, even skipped practice just to be available in case she needed to talk. But every time I showed up, it felt like she pushed me further away. Then came Ellie's birthday party. He didn't want anything big, just a few people at his place, music, snacks, maybe a bonfire in the backyard. I almost didn't go. Alyssa said she wasn't in the mood and hinted that I shouldn't either. But Eli was my best friend. And for once, I decided to do something for myself. Come with me, I asked her. Please. Just for an hour. She rolled her eyes. I don't feel like standing around watching you and Eli act like 10-year-olds. I sighed. It's his birthday, Liz. She crossed her arms. Fine. Do what you want. You always do. So I went. Alone. When I got there, Harper greeted me at the door. She looked surprised. She let you come? She asked. I shrugged, something like that. The party was chill, music from a Bluetooth speaker, a bunch of people around a fire pit, laughing and throwing marshmallows like we were kids again. For the first time in weeks, I felt normal. Like me. Until I saw her. Alyssa. Standing across the backyard. Laughing. With Eli. At first, my brain didn't register it. She told me she wasn't coming. She said she was staying home. Yet there she was, wearing the hoodie I gave her, drink in hand, laughing like she hadn't just lied straight to my face hours ago. And Eli. He looked too comfortable. They weren't doing anything obviously wrong. No holding hands. No kissing. But their closeness, the way they leaned into each other, the way she touched his arm when she laughed, it was enough. Enough to make my stomach twist. I turned around and went inside. I needed air. I needed to think. But Harper followed me. You okay? She asked. I laughed bitterly. You knew she'd be here, didn't you? Harper didn't answer right away. Then she said, I wanted to tell you. But every time I try, you defend her like she walks on water. I leaned against the kitchen counter, heart racing. Tell me what? She hesitated again, biting her lip like she was debating whether to drop a bomb. Jake. They've been texting a lot at night. When she says she's busy or not feeling well. I've seen Ellie's phone light up with her name more times than I can count. I froze. You serious? She nodded, her voice quieter now. I asked him about it. He said it was nothing. But the way he talks about her, it changed. Like he's caught feelings and doesn't know how to deal with it. I felt like I couldn't breathe. My hands were shaking. Why didn't he tell me? Harper looked at me like I was blind. Because he knows it's wrong. But she's pulling him in the same way she pulled you. Making him feel like he has to save her. That hit me hard. because deep down, I knew. I knew something had been off for weeks. The way Alyssa stopped answering my calls at night. The way Eli acted weird whenever I brought her up. The way my gut told me something was wrong, but I kept pushing it down, convincing myself I was just insecure. I left the party without saying goodbye. I didn't text Alyssa. I didn't confront Eli. I just shut down. 3 days passed. Nothing from either of them. Until Eli finally showed up at my house. "Can we talk?" he asked, eyes full of guilt. I didn't answer. I just let him in. He sat on the edge of the couch like it burned to touch. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I stared at him. So it did happen. He looked down. "She came over the night after your fight about the party. Said you were shutting her out. That you didn't care. We talked for hours." She cried. I didn't plan it, Jake. But one thing led to another. "You kissed her," I said flatly. He nodded. "Yeah." A silence hung between us so heavy I thought it might crush me. "She left me?" I asked. My voice cracked. "For you?" Eli winced. "She said it wasn't working anymore. That you were toxic. That you made her feel small." Toxic. That word echoed in my head like a bullet ricocheting off the walls. That's how she described me. That's how she made him see me. Like I was the villain in her story. I stood up. My legs felt weak. "Get out." "Jake." I didn't. "Get out." He left without another word. I stood in the middle of the living room trying to piece together how everything I thought was real could fall apart in a single moment. I wanted to call her. Scream at her. Beg her to explain. But I didn't. Because somewhere, deep in the wreckage, I still had one tiny shred of self-respect left. I spent the next week in a haze. I skipped school. Deleted every picture of her. Avoided Ellie's calls. Harper texted every day, but I didn't answer. I couldn't face her. Couldn't face anyone. Until one night, Harper showed up at my door unannounced, holding her phone with an expression that scared me. "I wasn't going to show you this," she said, stepping inside. "But I can't keep quiet anymore." "What is it?" She pulled up a folder on her phone. Screenshots. Dozens of them. Texts from Alyssa to Eli. Messages that weren't just flirty, they were vile. In one, she said, "I only dated Jake because he made me feel better about myself. He's so desperate, it's pathetic." Another one, "He cries when I'm mad at him. Like, actual tears. It's embarrassing." And worse, "I bet if I cheated, he'd still say sorry and ask what he did wrong. He's that easy to control." I couldn't move. Harper watched me carefully. "I told Eli he was being played. That she's using him just like she used you." He didn't believe me. But now he's starting to see it too. He sent me these. My throat went dry. Why? Because he finally realized what she is. And he's not the only one. I dropped to the couch, eyes locked on the words that had shattered every illusion I'd ever held about Alyssa. "She made me feel crazy," I whispered. "Like I was the one messing everything up. And the whole time, she was gaslighting you," Harper said softly. "Manipulating you into thinking you were the problem so she could do whatever she wanted without guilt." Tears filled my eyes. But I didn't let them fall. I couldn't. Not anymore. I wasn't going to be her puppet. Not anymore. That night, everything inside me changed. The pain didn't leave, but it transformed into something sharper, stronger. I was done being her victim. I didn't sleep that night. After Harper left, after she handed me those screenshots that ripped the blindfold off, I just sat in my room with my phone in my hand, staring at the walls like they were whispering all the things I didn't want to hear. The proof was right there, her own words. Alyssa laughing with Eli about how pathetic I was, how I'd cry and beg like some lost puppy, how she could manipulate me into doing anything with just a few tears. And the worst part, she wasn't wrong. I did beg. I did cry. I did everything to keep that relationship alive, even when it was slowly killing me inside. I gave her my time, my love, my heart, hell, even my sense of self, and she used it all to feed her own ego. And now I knew she never loved me. She just loved what I gave her. I could have spiraled. I almost did. But then I remembered something my dad once told me when I was younger, during one of those rare nights we were actually talking. He said, anyone who tries to convince you that love means sacrificing your voice doesn't love you. They control you. I hadn't understood it then. But now, I finally did. By morning, I was done crying. I wasn't healed. Not even close. But I was done begging. Instead of texting Alyssa or calling Eli, I called someone who actually cared. Harper, I said as soon as she answered. Can we talk? Come over, she said instantly. Now, her room had always been this peaceful, quiet little corner of the world. Like a safe zone. I sat on her floor, leaned against her bed, and for the first time since this whole thing started, I let it all out. I feel stupid, I said, eyes fixed on the carpet. Like, how could I not see it? You didn't want to, she replied softly. Because you loved her. Yeah, well, that feels like the dumbest part. It's not dumb to love someone, she said, sitting next to me. It's just heartbreaking when they don't love you back in the same way. That silence between us was thick, but not uncomfortable. It was filled with all the things she didn't have to say out loud because somehow, she just got it. You know what hurts the most? I said finally. That she made me feel like I was destroying her. Like I was the toxic one. And I believed her. Harper nodded slowly. That's what manipulators do. They turn their damage into your burden. I closed my eyes. I gave her everything. I know. I even lost Eli for her. That part's not on you. I looked up at her. He was my brother. And he betrayed you, she said firmly. Let him carry that. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe this wasn't my fault. But the guilt ran deep. Even after everything, I still kept asking myself the same question. What if I was different? Would she have stayed? But the truth Harper helped me see that day was this. It wouldn't have mattered who I was. Because Alyssa would have done this to anyone. That day changed something in me. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want to make her pay. I just wanted to stop giving her power. So I did the hardest thing I've ever done. I let go. I deleted every picture, every message thread, every saved voicemail. I even cleared my notes app where I'd written down all the things I was scared to say out loud, drafted apologies for things I hadn't even done, over-explained feelings she never cared to understand. Gone. All of it. For me, not for her. That night, Harper sent me a song link. A soft acoustic track. Raw. Simple. Real. And along with it, she wrote, play this when you forget how to feel like yourself again. I saved it. Not because I needed it right then, but because I knew there'd be days I would. I spent the next few weeks slowly pulling myself back together. I reconnected with people I'd ghosted when Alyssa made me feel guilty for talking to anyone but her. I started playing guitar again. I even signed up to play at a local coffee shop's open mic night just to prove I could still do something for myself. And Harper? She stayed close. Not in a suffocating way, but in a way that reminded me I wasn't alone. One afternoon, we were sitting in her car outside a burger joint, sipping milkshakes and arguing over which fries were superior, curly or crinkle, when she said something that stopped me cold. You know what I think happened? She said, glancing over at me. What? I think Alyssa saw your light, and instead of being drawn to it, she tried to dim it. Because she was afraid it made her own look smaller. I didn't know what to say. Because for the first time, someone had explained exactly what I felt, but never knew how to describe. She didn't love you, Jake, Harper continued. She wanted to own you. That's not the same thing. I nodded, feeling something loosen in my chest. You're not broken, she said. You were just targeted. And that's not your fault. No one had ever said it to me like that before. Not even myself. But from that moment on, I started saying it in my own head. Over and over. Until I finally started to believe it. It was a slow, silent kind of healing. Not the dramatic, wake up one day and feel brand new kind. More like learning how to breathe again after forgetting how it ever felt to inhale without guilt. Some days, I woke up angry, Like I wanted to scream into a pillow or throw my phone across the room just because the ghost of her voice popped into my head out of nowhere. Other days, I felt nothing. And honestly, those were worse. At least the pain reminded me I was real. The numbness? That made me question if anything had ever been real at all. But the days I started to feel whole again, those were quiet victories. Like the day I walked past the park where she first told me she loved me, and instead of feeling heartbroken, I just felt free. Or the morning I found an old hoodie of hers at the back of my closet, and instead of holding it to my chest, I tossed it into a donation bag without even blinking. I was still me, just finding the pieces again. But the truth is, nothing about healing is linear. And I learned that the hard way the night I saw Alyssa again. It was at this outdoor festival downtown. I hadn't planned to go, but Harper convinced me. "You've been doing better," she said. "You deserve to live a little." I agreed. I even smiled when she handed me a funnel cake and told me it was the ultimate breakup recovery food. The music was loud. The crowd was thick. And for the first hour, I felt good. Not pretend good. Not smiling for someone else good. Just me. But then I turned toward one of the booths, and there she was. Alyssa, standing next to Eli. She hadn't changed much. Still had that same smirk she used to wear like armor. Eli looked uncomfortable. Like he'd rather be anywhere else. Our eyes met. And for a second, my breath caught. Not because I missed her, but because I finally saw her without the filter of my love. She wasn't some mythical girl who broke me. She was just a person. A flawed, messy, manipulative person who no longer had power over me. She looked at me like she wanted to say something, maybe even apologize. But I didn't give her the chance. I just turned around and walked the other way. Not because I was afraid, but because I had nothing left to prove. Harper caught up with me seconds later. "You okay?" I nodded. "Yeah, actually, yeah." We sat on a bench near the edge of the festival, where the music faded into the distance and the night sky stretched quiet above us. "You didn't have to run," she said gently. "I didn't," I replied. "I just didn't want to stand in front of people who chose to hurt me and pretend like I owe them a reaction." She smiled. "That's growth." "No," I laughed. "That's exhaustion." We both laughed then. The real kind. The kind I hadn't let myself have in months. After a long pause, I turned to her. "I think I'm ready." "For what?" she asked, sipping her drink. "To write again." Harper looked surprised, but proud. "You mean your blog?" I nodded. Before Alyssa, I used to write poems and short essays on this anonymous Tumblr blog. Stuff about identity, mental health, breakups, anything that helped me process what I couldn't say out loud. I hadn't posted in over a year. "I've been carrying all of this inside me," I said. "And I think maybe it's time I let it go somewhere it might help someone else." Harper reached for my hand. Just held it. No pressure. No expectation. "You're gonna help a lot of people," she said. That night, I wrote something I titled, "To the person who made me think I was hard to love." It started like this. "You made me feel like I had to earn every second of your affection. Like love was something I had to audition for. But I've learned that real love doesn't make you perform. It makes you feel safe. And now, I choose safety over chaos. I choose healing over guessing. I choose me." I posted it. And within days, it exploded. People messaged me. Strangers. Teens. Young adults. People who said, "I thought I was alone." But they weren't. And I wasn't either. Turns out, a lot of people have loved someone who broke them. And a lot of people needed to know they weren't the only ones still picking up the pieces. One message stood out. It said, "Thank you, I was planning to go back to him tomorrow." After reading this, I won't. I stared at that message for a long time. Because for the first time in this whole journey, I realized something. Maybe everything I went through had a purpose. Not to hurt me, but to wake me up. To teach me boundaries. To remind me that I was never the problem. And maybe, just maybe, to help someone else survive what I barely did. 3 months passed. 3 months without texting her, without checking her socials, without replaying every argument in my head, wondering if I could have done something differently. And for the first time in what felt like forever, I didn't need to. Because I had found something she never gave me in our entire relationship. Peace. It wasn't perfect. There were still nights I laid awake, not because I missed her, but because I was still unpacking all the damage she left behind. The second guessing, the overthinking, the way she conditioned me to believe that love was supposed to hurt, that being confused was normal, that walking on eggshells was just a sign of being in a passionate relationship. I had to unlearn all of that. But healing is never about forgetting someone, it's about remembering yourself. And I had. One night, I got a call from Eli. I didn't pick up at first. I just stared at the screen. Then I let it ring again. Then again. Finally, I answered. His voice was quiet. Hey man, I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from, but I need to talk. I said nothing. He continued. She did it to me too. The same things she did to you. Gaslighting, twisting stories, blaming me for stuff she clearly caused. I thought I was different. I thought maybe. I don't know. But now I feel like I don't even know who I am anymore. I exhaled. Yeah, that's what it feels like. He was silent for a moment. Then, in a shaky voice, he added, I just wanted to say I'm sorry. For not believing you. For being part of it. I should have seen it sooner. And for the first time, I didn't feel angry. I didn't even feel smug. I just felt done. You were my best friend, I said. It wasn't just about her. You didn't just hurt me by dating her. You hurt me by doubting me. By disappearing when I needed someone to believe me. I know, he whispered. I'll regret it for the rest of my life. You should, I said gently. But I hope you heal too. That was it. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need him to suffer the way I did. I didn't want that cycle to continue. I wanted to break it. That's how I knew I'd grown. The old me would have clung to the bitterness like armor. But now? I didn't want to carry it anymore. It was too heavy. Later that week, Harper invited me to a poetry night at a local coffee shop. I almost didn't go. The thought of standing in front of people, reading about the most personal parts of my life, made my hands shake. But she encouraged me. You've already lived it. Sharing it is just a way to take back the power. So I did. I walked onto that little stage, under soft yellow lights, with a microphone that echoed slightly, and I read one of my newer pieces. It was called, To the One Who Made Me Doubt My Worth, and the Friend Who Watched Silently While I Fell Apart. When I finished, there was this stillness in the room. No claps. Just quiet. Then someone in the back stood up and started clapping slowly. Then more. And more. Until the entire room filled with it. I walked off the stage, and Harper hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. You did it, she whispered. You made it out. And I had. Not just out of the relationship, but out of that version of me, the one who didn't believe he deserved better. The one who kept making excuses for someone who chipped away at him every single day. In the weeks that followed, more people started messaging me through the blog. Some even sent their own poetry. Others just said thank you. Some asked if I could talk to their school club or host a writing workshop. And somehow, in the ashes of all that pain, I found something real. Purpose. I started volunteering with a youth support group that focused on emotional abuse awareness. Sharing my story. Listening to theirs. One afternoon, after a session, a 16-year-old kid came up to me. He said, Your story made me realize I'm not crazy. My girlfriend always blames me for everything, even when I know it's not my fault. I thought maybe I was just too sensitive. I looked him in the eyes and said, You're not. You're human. And love should never make you question your own reality. He nodded. And I swear, in that moment, I saw a part of me in him. The part that once sat alone in a dark room, trying to piece together a shattered self-image because someone he loved convinced him he was the problem. It was full circle. And I didn't need closure from Alyssa anymore. Because the truth is, closure doesn't always come with apologies. Sometimes, it's the realization that you don't need theirs. Sometimes, it's waking up and realizing you made it out alive. Sometimes, it's sitting in a room full of strangers and telling your story out loud, and finally, not feeling ashamed of it. I still have days where I flinch at certain memories. Still have songs I skip on playlists because they remind me of the way she used to look at me, right before she twisted the knife. But I also have better days now. I have friends who show up. I have peace in my chest. I have me. And that's more than I ever thought I'd get back. So if you're listening to this right now, whether you're still in it, just got out of it, or healing from it months or years later, I want you to know this. You are not the problem. You are not too emotional. You are not overreacting. You are not hard to love. You are not imagining it. You are healing from something that tried to convince you otherwise. And you don't need their permission to move on. You only need your own. I gave myself permission. And now, I'm free.